Welcome to the program. I'm Roby Brock. Thank you so much for joining us. Frank O'Mara is an Irishman who found his way to Arkansas back in the early 1980s. He helped set the standard for the Razorbacks' dominance in track and field, was a three-time Olympian, and twice won the World Indoor Championship in the 3,000-meter race. After a successful career at Alltel in the wireless industry, he is now the author of a new book, Bend, Don't Break, which chronicles how he's handled his 15-year battle with Parkinson's disease. Frank, it is a pleasure to have you with us.
My pleasure.
Thank you for being here. I don't want your ego to get too inflated from that intro right there, but you've done a lot in your lifetime.
Well, I suppose I have, but I'm consumed with my present battle with Parkinson's. And I don't think too much about my successes in the past.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about it anyway. How did you find your way to Arkansas from Ireland back in the 1980s?
Well, the coach is from Ireland, John McDonald, was from County Mayo, and he couldn't get American kids to go to U of A, good runners at the time. So he brought his unsuspected countrymen. And Piff was a much different place back in the 1970s than it is now.
Yes, much different. So. But you had a good experience there.
I did, yeah. I went on, never on a winning team, NCAA winning team, but I won John's first national championship over 1,500 meters.
Wow. He was a great leader, and I still talk to people in Northwest Arkansas now that talk about him and what an incredible run that program has had, and the fact that he was just such an inspirational leader to make all of that happen.
Well, he was an early version of what we call servant leaders now. He was he worked harder than anybody himself, worked tirelessly. He expected a lot of you and he held you accountable. He could have been a good CEO.
Well, you were a good CEO. You were also a good chief marketing officer. You were around in Alltel's go-go years of growth, particularly in that marketing position when Chad was so popular, and Alltel really grew in market share and dominance on the national level there. As you reflect on those years, and then subsequently after it sold, you put the band back together with a spinoff that was still left over from assets of Alltel. What do you really feel proudest about that time?
Well, I feel like we acted like a winner. Our Chad campaign with the 4 sales guys of the big carriers was really my first experience with storytelling. They evolved, those characters evolved over time, and we told the story. But I feel certain that our ability to present ourselves as a winning team with those powerful commercials helped entice Verizon to come looking at us, because they thought these guys tend to stick around, which we did.
Yep. And I know I've talked with Scott Ford before, who was leading the company at the time, a great leader as well. And you guys were precariously close to being the Verizon versus being acquired by Verizon on a couple of occasions there. So, but you don't have to dive into that. I want to talk a little bit about this book that you have written called Bend, Don't Break. You have been dealing with Parkinson's disease for about 15 years now. Tell me about when you found out for the first time that you had early stages of this, and kind of how you have adjusted your attitude over time about it.
Well, I discovered on a run, January 8th, Friday, 5 or 6 were laid off from Alltel. The next morning I went for a run with some friends, and my left leg started banging up my right calf. And that was the first symptom. And it happened after 5 miles, next week after 4 miles, and eventually after a mile, it got into my walking. And it took me a long time to accept it. I thought it was a running injury. Naturally, it happened when I was running. But the fact that it happened the day after Alltel, the deal closed, was spooky to me. And so I finally got a diagnosis from Dr. Archer at UAMS. And they say that your happiness is directly proportional to your acceptance and inversely proportional to your expectations. My challenge then was to lower my expectations from trying to achieve lots of things to achieving absolutely nothing on a daily basis. And for me, my self-worth was caught up in achievement. And the hardest thing was to get used achieving nothing. That
We-
makes any sense?
Yeah, no, I completely get it. In this book, one of the things that you chronicle is you made a trip to Antarctica. Is that correct? So,
Well, I grew up as a big fan of Ernest Shackleton, of the endurance fame, and I always wanted to go there. He's famous for rescuing 22 men who were stuck for 2 years in the ice, and that was a goal I had. And I went there 2 years ago and hiked up a big incline, and it was very rewarding, very rewarding.
yeah. You've written this book to talk about the disease, to talk about your journey through the disease, and I presume to inspire people, number one, to meet these types of challenges head on, and then the proceeds to the book also go to Parkinson's research.
Yeah, Parkinson's is the fastest growing neurodegenerative disease in the country, in the world, and a lot of people are having to deal with it now, and there's been no improvement in care in 40 years. The same drug they took 40 years ago we're taking today. It needs a push, and it's so hard to come to terms with not getting better. There's no hope of getting better. With other diseases, you may get better, you may not, but more likely you will. With this one, you're just going to gradually decline over time. Now, I will tell you that I had brain surgery about 3 years ago. I had 2 electrodes put in my head. It's called deep brain stimulation. I have a pulse generator in my chest. I'm always running 3 milliamps through my head at all times. And it's changed my life. Not back to where I was, but I would have been shaking and
Yeah,
but
slowed
no.
the decline significantly.
Yeah, changed the trajectory.
Where can someone find a copy of your book? How can they get hold of it?
Well, locally, it's offered at Wordsworth in the Heights, or on the usual suspects online,
Yeah.
Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
Okay. And the money from the proceeds of the book goes to Parkinson's research?
My share of the money.
Your share of the money?
Yeah.
Not the publisher's share
Not
of
the publisher's
money?
share.
What will be the takeaway from somebody from reading this book?
I think the takeaway is you need to compartmentalize in your life, and you should never worry about what might happen to you in the future. Live in the now, and relish every moment of every second of the now.
Yeah.
And tomorrow, worry about tomorrow.
Yeah. Frank, it is always good to visit with you. I appreciate your courage so much in facing this and being public about it. So thank you for writing the book. Thank you for being a leader like you have been for your entire life, and whether it's track, whether it's business, and now in fighting this disease. You're an inspiration for a lot of people. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Frank O'Mara. We're back with more right after this.